Okay, welcome back again. Couple jokes here. Why can't pirates finish the alphabet? Well, because they just get lost at sea. What did the seal with the broken arm say to the polar bear? Do not consume if seal is broken. And what did the guy say to the man who cut off his feet? Oh no, you've defeated me. Okay, lesson 84. Pretty simple lesson today. It should be a nice short video. It's called selecting an appropriate rational number. Pretty much what number is going to work best here. You can change numbers around. For example, percents can be written as fractions, decimals, stuff like that. That's the main thing we're going to be looking at is percents written as the one that works best in whatever scenario we're dealing with. Two questions to start off. So PA tax is 6%. So if you go and buy something and they advertise it as $52.97, 6% of $52.97, I understand all of you are going to go to your calculator and punch, figure it out. But what do you change 6% to? You don't leave it 6%. You don't go 6 and then find the percent sign, click, times $52.97. What do you change 6% to? You change it to a decimal, and it is 0.06. So you would multiply 0.06 times $52.97 to figure it out. And the reason you do that is because the second number is a decimal. So you wouldn't change this to a fraction. You would change it to a decimal and then multiply there. Second thing is if something is on sale and it's 33 1/3% off. So what is 33 1/3% of $70? Well, how many you go in your calculator? 33 1/3% written as a decimal is 0.3 repeating. Nobody's going to be punching 0.33333333333 until your calculator tells you you can't put any more threes in times $70. What are you going to use instead? What is 0.3 repeating? It's 1/3. So there you go. You would use 1/3 for that. 1/3 of $70 is, you can figure that out. Put 1/3 in your calculator times 70 instead of 33 1/3%. So that's pretty much all this lesson consists of, is picking the right thing, which you've done this all year. When you look at a problem and you punch it in your calculator, you're probably already changing it somewhat. So we're just going to do that here, going through here. So for example 1, they give you two questions, A and B over here. And A, it says 40% of 1/2 of $12.60. So you have a percent, a fraction, and a decimal over here. Obviously, this isn't going to work out. So if you're trying to multiply, there's actually two solutions. The solution I would pick is actually probably different than, it's different than what the book recommends. The book recommends changing this to a decimal, which would be 0.4. What is 1/2 as a decimal? 0.5, and then $12.60. And if you remember from before, this pretty much just means multiply. So it's 0.4 times 0.5 times $12.60. That's an easy thing to do. Put in your calculator and it figures it out. To try and do this, you don't punch these numbers in your calculators. I don't think your calculators have a percent. If they do, you could do that, but it makes more sense to look at this and say 0.4 times 0.5 times $12.60. What I would actually do for myself is, since this isn't a fraction, I would just change 40% to a decimal, which is fraction, 2/5 times 1/2, which gives you 2/10, or 1/5 for that. 1/5 times $12.60, and that's where it gets a little confusing, because you can then change 1/5 to a decimal, or you could just do that at the very beginning. 1/5 times 1260 is 0.2 times that. Or you could say 1/2 of 40% is 20%. 20% as a decimal is 0.2 times $12.60. Pretty much, it's a little bit up to you what you decide works best here. If it's easier to do 0.4 times 0.5, or if it's easier to do half of 40%, which is 20%, yeah, stuff like that is what's going to happen there. So somewhat up to you. Pick one that makes sense, though. Don't just blindly pick a number. Put some thought into it. Same thing down here. You're asking the question 66 2/3%. What is that as a fraction or decimal? It's 0.6 repeating. You're not going to use that. What is 0.6 repeating as a fraction? It's 2/3. 2/3 times 5/6. What do you got there? You have 10/18, which is 5/9, and then you could multiply that times $12.60. The book would tell you to change 66 2/3 to, it would tell you to do it this exact way. Just do it this way and then multiply it that way. And this is helpful when you don't have a calculator. You're not going to be doing, like, it's going to be tough to just, you're going to have to figure out ways to make it easier on you if you're going to do it without a calculator. You all are using calculators, so it's a little nicer that way. You can do it that way. So select an appropriate number, one that makes sense with the problem, and then go with that. Practice set. All they tell you to do here is just figure it out. So what is 20% of 1/4 of 12? I don't have a calculator right here. You use my phone, but I'm going to do this. So 20% is 0.2 times 1/4. I don't really like that. So what I'm actually going to do is, here's where it's nice. What is 1/4 of 12? Well, it is 3, because there's 3 4 times in 12. So I'm going to figure out this first. So that's 3, and this is 1/5, or 0.2. Also, then I can do 0.2 times 3, and that is 2 times 3 is 6. With a decimal, it's 0.6. And if you're looking for money, that's actually 60 cents for that. You can figure it out that way. Or you can go 0.2 times 1/4, or 1/5 times 1/4 gives you 1/20th. 1/20th of 12 is, just going to use my calculator here and figure this out. So 0.2 times 5 times 12 is 60. So a little bit of flexibility, up to you a little bit. All right, 33 1/3, that's 1/3 times 3/8 times 12. Figure this out, that cancels out. You have 1/8 of 12. Again, here I'm not using the calculator, so 3/2, which is 1.5 for that. And I think that was money again that we're dealing with. So you want to put your dollar sign with, and you need a 0 there to make it $1.50. C, it's asking the question, for 80% of 2150, would you use a fraction, 8/10, or a decimal? It's going to somewhat depend on you. To me, it's a lot easier to figure out 0.8 of 2150, so the correct answer here is 0.8. 8/10 is going to be fairly complicated. I know you don't feel it if you just punch in your calculator, but if you did it on paper with pencil, you would use 0.8. For D here, 25% of 24, would you use the fraction or the decimal? We picked the decimal up here, but here it's actually easier on paper to use 1/4. So you would pick 1/4 there. 1/4 of 24 is a lot easier to figure out than faster to figure out than 0.25 times 24. And then the last one, it says, which expression is the most appropriate rational number to announce a discount of $14 from a regular price of $40? So if you're at a store and all of a sudden somebody comes on the speakers and says, hey, you can save 7/20th on pants today. You're like, what? What's 7/20th? You don't hear that. So that was option A. What about if somebody says, hey, you can save 0.25 today on pins? Again, or 0.35. You'd be like, yeah, I'd never save that much. I don't know what that means. But if they came and said, hey, you can save 35%, what is that? They're going to announce it. You can save 35% today. That's how that would be. So the answer for E would be C. Okay, that is it for today's lesson. Hopefully that makes sense and you can go with it from there.